Showtime. We are live.
Yes.
Hi, LaQuan. I am so honored and so delighted to meet you and to have this beautiful conversation live. I'm welcoming you to the Women's Empowerment Series. So, the Women Empowerment Series is a platform that we created to showcase amazing women like you doing incredible work,
Thank you.
empowering other people, helping around them, and making a real impact. And in the same time, rising up like a beautiful leader and a great CEO. So, it's so nice, such an honor to have you, LaQuan.
Thank you. Nice to meet you too.
So, you're connecting from Maryland. I would love you to share a bit about you. I want to see who's joining us. So, ladies and gentlemen, usually we have them both. If you're coming in, just tell us where you're connecting from. We would love to greet you, myself and Lakwan. And if you have any questions, just put it in the comments and we will be delighted to answer it. If you are watching us on replay, hashtag replay, and we will answer to that as well. So,
Okay.
Lakwan, tell me about you. Tell me about the amazing things that you grew up doing, and how you are rising as a big reference for small enterprises and
Thank
minorities.
you. So my name is LaQuan McCarley. I am a native of Washington, D.C. Actually was born there, grew up in the Columbia Heights
My
neighborhood.
city, I love Washington D.C.
So great city to grow up in. A lot of things to do, people to meet. I actually went off to school and went to an HBCU, Lincoln University. Um,
Yes.
yeah, then came back and actually started working for a law firm, which actually turned my interest into small business. So
Okay.
with that experience with the law firm, I was able to deal with dreamers and just passionate people who wanted to do great things, build great businesses. And I got the little business bug from that. I said, oh, if I can help people do this, I want to try this for myself. So
That's
I,
amazing.
I, I ended up launching two companies. One was a compliance company because that's what I really had a good niche at, which was really helping people to get past the nose of
Hmm.
building their businesses in the city, operating their businesses in the city, so licensing and compliance. And then the other part was my passion, which was I
Hmm.
opened up a bridal shop in Montgomery
Yes.
County, which was awesome. It was an awesome experience. I think I just needed to get that creativity out of my system, just in order for me to learn some other things as well. Because even when you are building a business, it's good to learn different processes. So that particular experience taught me about that customer experience, being able to relate one to one with a person, understanding what it was like to pivot, even though I didn't understand that word when I was younger. I just knew
Hmm.
that I had to make certain changes at certain times, how to buy, how to deal with manufacturers and all these different things. So
Yeah.
I had no mentor or anything. I just did it all by fire, which was really interesting.
Which is
But
good because often when you don't know, then you just jump and you don't even know what risk you're taking.
exactly. And I think in a way that was probably good for me because then I was able to really dig in and really understand what was happening. But I do, looking back, I said, wow, how great would it have been to have a consultant or some other form of platforms like we have now, that
Hmm.
we can reach out to others and kind of, as they say, pick their brains and kind
That's
of get
true.
a 10-year leap
Advice. Yeah.
into the information, right? So um, I did that, and then after I did that, I did some marketing for a little bit for a contractor, and I said, this is a great morphing. I can take everything that I've learned and really get into the government contracting space because I saw that a lot of the minority companies, especially small businesses, they weren't really getting the same level of attention or the same level
Mm,
of care that was needed in order for them to really build, right? So
it's
when we
true.
first start our businesses out,
Mm.
we're excited, we're ready to go. We have some pieces of the puzzle, but then as we get further along into our businesses, then that's when it gets a little bit difficult. And I
Mm.
want to make sure that we are helpful in helping people to avoid a lot of the pitfalls, right?
Wow.
Because the
Mm.
government buys everything, right? You're in
Mhm.
business if you sell paper clips, the government buys that too. So just to kind of give people an option of how to diversify and really how to navigate that government process because there's so many different barriers to entry that we
Mhm.
want to try to make it easier. So that's what I try to do.
So I want to greet some people joining us. Hi, Mo from West Africa. Hi, Malika joining us from Morocco. So we have people just, it's very nice to have you join
Awesome.
us. We have a fascinating lady doing so many great things with us today. So Welcome,
Welcome.
everyone. So,
Welcome.
what do you find was the most difficult and hurdles or challenges that stop them, the minorities or the small enterprises? What is it?
One is understanding the certification process and what you need. So, strategy
Mm,
is really important when you
strategy.
are trying to build your business, whether you're doing government or not. It's really having a strategy of what you're trying to do. The other
Mhm.
part of it is planning your finances, right? Financial um, contributions to what you're doing, knowing what you need when you start, knowing what you need if you're trying to bridge somewhere else is very important. Building relationships with a bank that knows your business,
Yeah,
understands it, and supports it. That's very
yeah.
important. Every bank
Support
has its
system.
own flavor of
Mhm.
industry, right? So
Mhm.
you want to make sure that you interview your banks just as you would anyone else to make sure that they can help you, they can give you resources, and also be able to be, as we say, your friend in your business because you're going to
Right.
need that person as you keep going along. So those
Mainly
are
when you
some
have
of the
those
hurdles.
contracts. Yeah. So it's like
Yeah.
meaning when you have those very official and structured contracts, you need to
Mhm.
have the whole baggage very clean and very
Right.
clear. Yeah.
And it all takes time. People have to understand it's not instant.
Uh-huh.
Everything takes time, and taking the time to build your infrastructure so that your foundation is extremely strong is very important. So even
Mhm.
if you're already in business and you're looking back and saying, "Oh, I need to fix certain things," that's fine too, right? Because
Yeah.
this is all still a learning process for us
Mhm.
as leaders and as bosses of our businesses and guiding entrepreneurs or other employees, or whether it's just you, right?
Mhm.
Because the reality of a lot of small minority owned businesses, it's just us, right? We
It
are the
is
accountant, we are the manager,
one
we
person.
are
It's like a solopreneur. Yeah. That's true.
exactly. And
Yeah.
knowing where you need your levels of support, right? So, whatever
Mm.
your zone of genius is, that's the zone you stay in. And then you bring in people who can do the things that you need done, right? That you may not be as much of a genius, but you know enough to say, hey, I need this. And I
Yeah.
need you to take your zone of genius and your creativity to add to what I'm doing, right? So, being a part of that overall vision. Does
Greetings.
that
More
make sense?
greetings. Yeah. More greetings to you, Laquan, and to
Welcome,
everybody.
welcome. Thank you.
Welcome. That's very, very true. And but but I always say, even though they're small businesses and they are solopreneurs, but
Mhm.
actually everybody from the ecosystem that they need are part of their team. So the bank becomes
Exactly,
your team. You helping them, you are part of the team. So
exactly.
they create a different model, but they're not alone because you can't thrive in business on your own. You got to be able to harmonize with all the parts that
And that's
makes
a
you.
life lesson too, right? So in
Mm,
life we need extensions of ourselves in order to be able to get to the vision. So, letting people know where you're trying to go, right? And really understanding if they can help you, in the process. Now there'll be people who will be there for the first whatever, like let's say for the first million, right? Once you get
mhm.
to $1 million, if that's what you want to do, and then you may need someone else who has another level of expertise to take you to the
True.
next million, right?
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
every
And you build
everything
your
is
team at that moment. You need
yeah,
somebody because you have more, less risk, more reassurance. You build the credibility. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Every piece to your puzzle. So
That's true.
understanding your vision. So first as a leader, understanding where you're trying to go, right? What is that long-term vision that you're looking at? And then
Mm,
stepping it back, saying to yourself, okay, this is what I want to do. These are the clients, that I want to attract. And
yeah.
make a list of the people that you want to go after. These large companies. No company is too big or
Mhm.
too far of a reach for you to
I
obtain.
love that.
Put it
I
on your
love that.
list and say, hey, I want to reach out to this company, and keep reaching out and figure out how I can be a part of their team, right? And then
Yeah.
utilize people who have like a method like yours, or
Yeah.
have connections and other avenues of helping you to get there. Use
Absolutely.
those people because we can help you launch off, right? You
Mhm.
have to stand in the room, but we
Yeah.
can help you
You
get
have to, yeah, I love that. Resilience. You gotta be resilient.
you have
Yeah.
to be resilient, right? Don't
Yeah.
take no for an answer. That's my motto. I grew up on
I
that.
love that. Just this morning, I was talking with one of my clients and really figuring out how some people, keep the cap and just they reach the $1 million, they reach even more.
Mhm.
And often the question in how can you do that? And people can be very impatient to see things
Mhm.
happening very fast. And
Yeah.
when they don't see it right away, they get discouraged. And
Yeah.
that's why a lot of entrepreneurs don't sustain themselves because they want things to happen faster than what the time allows it
Exactly.
to be. And yeah,
So
how
it's
do you
funny because
handle that? I'm curious to say, what do you say
so
to
as you were saying that, I hear the voices of, what if I'm not making $1 million? Like, what is that? What does
yeah.
that look like? Does that mean that I'm not being successful? It does not. Everyone's success level is totally different, right? Again, your
Mm,
long-term vision is what is the driving point of what you're trying to do, why you're doing it, right? Some people want freedom to do what they want to do so they can be at home with their kids, or they can travel more, or they can care for an ailing parent, or
mm,
they want to build a legacy company in order for that to keep trickling down into their family values,
mm,
right?
mhm.
So it's not, even though we all say it is about the money, but it's not. The focus should be more on what is my impact? What am I trying to
I love
impact?
that.
From the
That's
impact, the money
mm.
will follow. That's what my
Oh
grandmother
yes.
would say.
Oh yes. Well said. From the impact, from giving the best value you can give, the
Mhm.
money will just come.
Yeah, the
Yes.
money will follow, right? Because money goes where it's best treated. And I said that once in one of my LinkedIn posts. It goes where it's best treated. It wants to
I love
understand
that
that
one.
if I give you what I value, will you take care of it? Will you be able to reciprocate that? Will you be able to give me something in exchange? So while
Mm,
our small businesses are working very hard, our solopreneurs, they're doing everything, right? From running their businesses to ordering their own supplies to figuring out how to work automations to
mm.
to all those different
Yeah.
things, and being, and in their life doing those things as well. Know that every step you're doing, you're planting a seed, right? So
Mm,
you may not see everything from that seed that day, maybe that month, or even maybe that year, but I
mm.
promise you it does
It's come.
come back. You will get that call that says, hey, remember last year when you called me and you said that you can do this? Well, now I have an opportunity. Can you
Mm.
do it? Right. And
I
so it's
love that.
for you to make sure that you're in position to say, I can do it. Right. Anything you
Mm,
give, I can do it. Never
mm.
say no to an opportunity. Figure it out and do it.
Good. But this is so true about the seeds. That's what we always do. That's why focus on giving the best you have that day,
Yes.
which means you
Mhm.
put in seeds. Some seeds takes 9 months, some seeds takes 12, 18 months, some seeds take 5 years. You don't
Yes.
know. But
Yes.
just trust. So
Just
much.
trust.
Just
Yeah.
trust.
Even in this day and age where everything is so fast, right?
Yeah.
There's still a process. That process
Mm,
has not changed. It probably will never change no matter how fast our technology gets. There's
good.
still that underlining process of building a business and understanding those functions and being in the business of people, because you still have people, right? That you have to ensure that you have the right team right around you, whether it's
Mhm.
building small and having one person at a time and saying, hey, I want to build this structure first and then move on. Because as you entertain the government realm, right, in dealing with contracts, you have to be mindful of what you're signing up for, right? Have to be
Mm.
mindful of understanding that you're delivering something based on a contractual promise
And
to
you
the
have, yeah.
government, and that you're being paid for that promise, right?
Mm,
And that
mm,
anything that happens in between, that you have to mitigate those issues, right? And
mm.
make
It's your
sure,
responsibility. You
right.
just, yeah, you
Right.
have to
So
be
think
aware.
of being in the government as have being a government contractor as having that same level of relationship. If I'm in relationship with you, then I'm going to bring you the best that I have in my capability to deliver
Mhm.
the service that I say that I can do. So
Mm,
most times people can articulate that in the speaking world, but when it
mm,
comes to writing it out and actually being able to capture that in a presentation world may be difficult. So one of the things we do help with is that proposal writing writing, because we understand that translation sometimes can get lost, right? And how we do this, which is the person
Yeah.
to person conversation. But then
Mm.
if you say, hey, can you write down everything that you do and tell me how you do it?
Wow.
It is a dance, right? You have to make sure
Oh, yes. Because you adapt to things. You
Yes,
adapt.
it is a dance. So
You use
that's
a
one
lot
of
of
the
your
dances.
intuition.
They don't teach you,
Yeah.
how to articulate clearly in government world, how you do your process and how that process actually is in compliance, right,
Mm.
with what the government needs. So that's what we help you to
But
bridge
that's
that gap
very
and kind of
mm.
understanding that. Mhm.
But you are in a very sophisticated sphere, really, because you need to have a lot of understanding of the
Mhm.
legal aspect and very detail oriented, right?
Yes.
So,
Reading is important.
yeah,
A lot of
yeah,
reading, but it's okay. It's
yeah.
it's understanding details. So if you're a detail-oriented person, it
Mm.
helps. So every piece of who you are comes into play, right? Leadership is
Everything.
is personal development, is bringing all that you do and who you are to the table, and it even tests it, it challenges it, it sharpens it, it
Mm.
frustrates you sometimes, it makes you extremely happy sometimes. You don't understand why you're doing certain things at certain times in your life, but know that those things are helping you in that future aspect of what you're
Always.
trying to do.
Mhm. So that's really nice. I mean, I see you. You speak with so much passion for the work you do and everything. Do you see more those solopreneurs coming up as young, or is it usually people that have been there? How do you see it for this new generation? Like, do you see
So
them?
yeah, so
Uh,
for the new generation, it's the fast and fury, right? So
yeah, yes, yes. That's why I'm curious to see
social
if you had
media
some young ones.
can make someone very either successful or very rich, in a matter of a short period of time,
Yeah.
right? But then
Mm.
again, there's still a process and an aspect to that. Now you have to understand how to manage that. Now you have to understand there's a different responsibility that's involved, right?
Mm.
You've been able to accomplish the instant success, but can you sustain it? Can you
Yeah.
take what you've given out and turn it around and reproduce it to the level that's being required, like supply and demand, right? Whether
Wow.
you are giving out an actual product or an actual service, right? The world is always evolving. So, how are you
Mhm.
evolving with it? So, there are people who are, as we say, one-time wonders,
Yeah.
right? Could be two-time wonders, right? Some
Okay.
three.
And they
Uh,
got lucky for one time. Okay.
exactly. But then
Yeah.
how are you evolving? There's a sustainability factor that still
Mm.
has its own rules that has nothing to
Mm.
do with the instant success, right?
Yeah.
And so that part, our younger generation still needs to learn that piece. And some of them are learning it by fire. Some of them are creating some very innovative things that probably you and I would never have thought of or
That's
even
true.
imagine how to use, right?
Yeah,
So,
well, yeah. I mean, you have a daughters of the, I have my daughters. I'm watching. I'm like, I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah. So most
I
times if I
don't
have
know.
like
Does it
if I
function
have a
inside?
technology challenge, I give it to my kids because
Yeah.
they're living in that technology world, right? I
Yes.
grew up in a world where we still had payphones, and then we morphed into
I know.
pagers, and then we morphed
Yes.
into the big old cell phones,
That's
and then
true.
we
We're the
kept
same
growing.
generation. Praise that's
Yeah.
it.
So what
We
I
had
always
no internet. They
know.
cannot understand when I tell them,
Encyclopedias. We had to go
yeah.
to the library. And
Yes, yes,
my kids
exactly.
today is like, "What is that?"
Yes, for a whole day it's gone. I remember, when I was at Harvard, I used to go and sit in this very dusty libraries. It's scary because
Mhm,
it's dark. And you
mhm.
pull all these old books and nobody does that. They don't even understand. It's like it's coming from movies or something.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
then that's where your more seasoned entrepreneurs come into play, right? So your more
Mm.
seasoned entrepreneurs can mentor the younger ones to say,
Yeah.
"Hey, if you want to stay here or you want to continue to grow, here are some things that you can do because some of the
Mm.
rules still apply." Right? And
Yeah.
some of those rules our younger generation don't know because, again, they have a very large platform that is intricate in its own way, but there's a sustainability factor that's not there, nor does it teach you how to do this. It doesn't
Mm.
teach you the relational piece of how to deal with people, your customer conflict resolution, things like that. So
Yes.
those are the things that you need your elders, your wisdom warriors for, right? People
Yeah.
who've been there. We understand how that works. We understand that if you
Mhm.
get in conflict with a contractor or in conflict with an employee, in conflict, that those are the things that you have to learn, right? Those are
Yeah.
learned attributes. So with the older entrepreneurs, I see them having new life, right? It's a new life of, oh, 50 is not old anymore. Like
No, no,
we can build and create and turn our dreams even further down the line. We can make them even bigger.
that's true.
There are no limitations to what we can do. Um,
Mhm.
and we can incorporate people from around the world. We are no longer cut off from
Mm,
creatives or from
that's
people
true.
who do things that are just so beautiful, right?
Mhm,
So,
mhm.
and being able to get those other influences, I think it's very important for global collaboration.
Yes.
That's how we all grow, with the global collaboration and understanding that the way I do things in the United States may be different from the way you do things where you are, but there may
Mhm.
be something in between that helps us both, right?
Yes. Yeah. And the word today, I think, mainly now with the digital era and Zoom, we are not anymore limited to the area where we
Exactly.
are. It's like when you think global.
Mhm.
Everything goes global. It's like, can
Mhm.
you imagine? It's like we are like what 2 billion connected at a click. 2 billion people. I mean, just
How
like
awesome
LinkedIn,
is
that's
that?
how we connected.
And you're not
750.
alone, right? And
Yeah,
like you said, you're just not alone when it comes
not
to life.
alone. Yeah. And so when you show up and you believe and you keep your objective alive and
Mhm.
you do your best every day and you align with your objective, you will reach that objective no matter how
Exactly.
much time it takes. It's
Exactly.
like no matter how much time, how long
Ex
it takes. The whole thing is to continue on giving the best of what you are and the best of what you have, and you
exactly.
will find, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and that's really the strong message even from our discussion, is that have a vision, just like you said, Laquan. You need to have a clear vision. You
Mhm.
align with it, which means that you're emotionally at ease with it, like, yeah, I deserve to reach that vision. It's not
Mhm.
like, no, I don't deserve it, it's not for me. It's like, no, you heal from everything that could block you, and you do the
Mhm.
work. You do the work,
Exactly.
and
You have to do the work. You have to stay up late at night
you
sometimes.
do, you do.
Sometimes you don't get any sleep, right?
We
And
know
that
that.
doesn't
We have
stop.
done some of that, huh?
Yeah, but the things of why you're
Do you
doing it,
still do that or no more,
I
like when do you
do. I
still
actually just had that issue the other day. I had to stay
really?
up,
Did you have
yeah, I had
something
to
to
stay up 2
finish?
days in a row. I had to sit 2 days in a row to finish a
What, did you have
project.
some work to finish?
No, yesterday was the end of it. Thank God for that particular project. But but you do what you have to do, right?
You
It's
gotta
staying
do. I mean, I
focused.
just finished a book and I wrote my book in the summer, supposed to be with the kids by the beach, but I was just writing. And
Yeah,
I loved it. I mean, I really enjoyed doing it, but it was work. I was
yeah,
not sitting and looking at the sun and doing nothing. No, I was writing.
yeah.
I was
It
writing.
is. It is work. Being an entrepreneur is work. Sometimes you're going to find yourself in life and in business. You're going to be an employee and an employer at the same time, right?
Mhm,
There's going to be
mhm.
times
And
where
an
you're just
investor, because you
right,
invest in your business too. You
right.
gotta have all those hats, right?
You do. And then that's still a learning process, right? So
Mm,
even when you are employed by somebody, you should be learning.
true.
Learning your craft, honing it in, understanding, watching how that business operates. What
Mhm,
can you
mhm,
do better, right? To
mhm.
make that business grow, right? Because then
Yeah.
that helps you. That
Yeah,
helps you
of
in,
course.
in your pursuit to what you want to do. And then
Mhm,
some people, if they don't want to be their own entrepreneur, that's fine too, because there are some people who are great supporters in business. Because if
mm.
everybody was a business owner, we wouldn't have that great support,
That's
right?
true. Yeah.
So it is really understanding, and owning where you are, right?
Mm.
If you are an
Mhm.
employee now, but you are pursuing your entrepreneurial dream, don't get frustrated at your job.
Yes.
Learn as much as you can,
Yeah.
right? And how that
Mhm.
can apply to what you're trying to do.
Yeah, exactly. And if, even if something you don't like it, learn from it. How
Learn.
would you react about it?
Hmm.
How can you, are you taking it?
Right. Impact.
Very well.
What is your impact?
What is your impact?
So if you leave
And
that job
mhm,
and you do your own thing, could you
mm,
carry that job to be a partner or
mhm,
client?
mhm.
Is what you do that great of a thing that job says, we don't want to lose you, but we can definitely utilize you in a different way. So how about
Yeah,
we
I like
partner with
that.
you? Yeah. So it's thinking bigger, right? It's thinking
Mhm,
bigger. It's
mhm.
understanding that everything you do has a place, right? It may not make sense, while it's happening, but
Mhm.
everything has a place.
Always. It's
Hmm.
like everything, it's like a whole big puzzle, and every
Hmm.
piece
Every
somehow
piece, yes.
has, when you look back, then you say, oh, that's why I needed to go through all of this. It's
Hmm.
like you can see the a picture of it only when you look back, when you've gone through it. That's
Right,
why you have to embrace every part of whatever comes your way.
right.
Way
That's
I
why it's
ask.
important to let people know what your vision is. So they understand your passion, right? They understand that you don't take no for an answer. They understand that
Mm-hmm.
when it does get tough, that it's no time to back off of it. It's time to dig in, and it's time to keep pushing because there's
Yeah,
something greater on the other side, right? So no matter
absolutely.
what your barriers are in getting into any company space or government space, keep pushing, right? Keep reaching out for information and
Mm,
understanding. Collaborate with other people. Don't be afraid to be a partner on a contract. Just make sure that whoever you partner with is a great partner,
that's
right?
true.
You don't, it's a
Mm,
marriage. When you team with someone and you want to do work with them, you want to make sure that it's a great team. So then that way you guys can harmonize together
mm,
and get the contract done. So you can go on to another contract and another contract, right?
mm. I love that. And how do you advise them? Sometimes some partnership don't work. How,
It
yeah.
is. Yeah, absolutely. So again, do your due diligence. Make
Mm,
sure that you understand the person who is that you are dealing with, right? Their
mm,
integrity level. Make sure that's a match. What happens if the government doesn't pay you? Does that mean that you won't pay me? Does that make sense? So
mm,
it's asking those tough questions, getting to know them, going to lunch with them, understanding their personality. There are some people who may be great to be in business with, but not great to sit at dinner with. And you have
mm,
to make that decision of, do I want a combination of a person that we have this synergy that I don't have to worry about certain aspects? Or do I just want somebody who would just sign a check and just leave me alone? So it's
yeah.
all about what you need as a
Mm,
person and in that relationship. Because at the
mm,
end of the day, it's you and this other company or other companies, because sometimes the teams are a lot larger. You want to make sure your teams are great teams. So you guys can
mm,
keep doing it over and over. So
mm.
when they have an
Yeah.
opportunity, they automatically say, hey, we
Hey,
want to
let's get
bring
him
you on
again.
to our
Mm,
opportunity, right?
mm,
That's how you
yeah.
keep it going, building great relationships and understanding the work ethic of your team.
Mm. Hmm. I love that. These are such a very valuable advices, and don't we often, if we were to listen to our intuition a bit, we can
Mhm.
be guided, but sometimes we override that by what seems logical to us. How do you bring
Yeah.
that to your
So
business?
one of the things that someone told me years ago is all money is not good money. So
Mm,
those are the kind of decisions you have to make. And sometimes those are hard decisions to make, especially let's say if that contract is a contract that will literally in your mind take you to another level, right?
yeah.
But it may in the inside may not feel right. And you have to just kind of step back, in my opinion, and think about where you really want to go.
Yeah.
Um, is
Yes.
is it worth what you're trying to do? And
Exactly.
can
Mm,
you take on those consequences, good, bad, or indifferent, right? So
mm,
it's making very hard decisions sometimes. And I've
mm,
seen people make decisions where the money was great, but the partnership would be a disaster,
mm,
which in the long run would tarnish their reputation. And they had to make a hard decision and say no. But even in the no, in that instance, there's a greater yes. because now you have solidified who you are as a business owner,
Yeah.
and you
Yes.
understand what's important to you, and you understand that when you make those decisions, they're not just only for you, they impact everything about who you're connected to, all of your employees, any other of your contracts, any other prospective business people that you want to get into business with. um, those decisions impact all of that.
They
So
do.
yeah,
Your
so
life.
just
They
now, just
impact your life. They will overflow over everything. So
exactly.
well said. But you have to have so much wisdom and so much knowledge, and also be surrounded with people like you, like one who
Yeah,
knows, who have seen it happening. Yeah.
thank you.
This is amazing. Well, thank you so much
Oh,
for
thank you.
sharing your amazing work and for doing so much good. And I am very, very happy to be able to connect, from different parts of the ocean. So it's really
Yes. Thank you.
you're such a delight, like one. I enjoyed every part of our conversation,
Thank you.
and learning more about your amazing work.
Thank you. I appreciate you. All
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming.
right, thank
Bye,
you.
everyone. Thank you for being with
Bye.
us. Bye. If you're somebody who is interested in having mentors in Washington, in Maryland, and with a small company or even larger company, right, doing contracts for the government, to reach out to LaQuan McCarley. It's really wonderful to have you in the network with me.
Thank you.
Bye. Mhm.